Greetings, Earthlings! It's your buddy ChopTalk coming at you another episode of Chop Talk, brought to you by DFSArmy.com, your one-stop shop for everything DFS related. As NFL picks up and MLB starts to wind down a little bit, let's really send this season out with a bang. Tonight's kind of an iffy slate. We're going to break it up. 4 games, that's all we got. There's a lot of neat little contests out there that maybe you've got a better shot at today because the player pool is just tighter. Therefore, it's a little bit harder to miss and get way off the beaten path. For people that tell you that you got to get super low owned and whatnot, you know what? You just got to hit the best plays. So let's dive in. Let's find them today. Let's see who's in the best spots, and we'll see if we don't maybe get a little funky, maybe surprise ourselves with something that really pops based on numbers. The way you find me out on Twitter is at ChopAdong down in the comments section, DFSArmy.com. Use coupon code CHOP, C-H-O-P. Obviously, knock that 10% off your price of becoming a VIP inside the Army and come inside and get some quality coaching where we're going to turn you into a better DFS player. That's the whole goal. So when we dive in, what we're looking for in our pitching matchups today, we're going to sort by K percentage in this handy dandy research station tool, and we're going to start looking for pitchers that are primed to succeed. And guess what? There really kind of aren't any today. It's a pretty ugly slate tonight. But when I look at, K scores like 440, 440, 440, it's just not going to be a great night. So what we're really hopefully banking on is the win and the quality start. And we'll scroll over to the Vegas section to take a little peeky peek at who might be in the best position to do that. Let's see. No whammies, no whammies, no whammies. Big favorites. Come on. There we go. We got a few. Same 3 guys we're looking at up top. These are probably your pitchers unless you really want to be a masochist and run Cole Hamels out there with his non-strikeout stuff these days. Uh-oh. Scroll back over at the pricing section. We see cheap, but at least they're not charging us a premium for it. And I see a few guys that are priced up. Now, I'm going to skip one on purpose, and I'll come back to him. So let's start down here at Cole Hamels. He's priced up just a little bit. Very, very weak K score. He's also he's not a plus 175 dog. He's a minus 230 favorite. I just showed you that. $9,200 on Fanduel, priced up over on DK at 10-4. Probably 10-4, good buddy. Probably because they know the options are limited. 440K, 414K score, 54 DFSA grade, kind of. Danny Duffy, I was thinking, you know what, he might not be a bad way to go, and he pops a little bit in DFSA grade over here at a 75. But again, I look at him, I look at his K score. It's a 440, which is okay, but he's a plus 175 dog. Nobody has any faith in the Kansas City offense. It would be a contrarian play, but I wouldn't completely rule it out. What I don't like is that he's priced down. Okay, I think DraftKings sees something that I'm not looking at, and so I'm more inclined to believe DraftKings in a spot like this. We're building up to the big one. DeSclafani at 7,000 to 8,000. He's only in play because there's so few pitchers to choose from. He's more of a GPP pick. Sean Newcomb, again, not priced up or down either way. He's a decent favorite at minus 165. 72 is definitely affordable. 440K score. Could be worse. Not bad for the slate. Trevor Cahill's priced up. Oakland faces Minnesota today. That's not a bad situation to bank on. 8,000 is not that unaffordable. Minus 160 out of Vegas is solid. 450K scores, pretty darn sweet. Technically highest on the slate. But look at Tyler Glasnow. Look at that price increase. When you pay attention to these things, you start getting a feel for what is a big price increase and what is not. And of course, we're not going to pay much attention to the little price increases, but when we see a big one like this, over $2,000, we should definitely be paying attention. Could it be because the slate's limited and they know that might be the best pitcher on the slate? Yeah, but it could also just flat out be that they like the matchup he's in, and it could be telling us something. It could be alerting us to something. Now, Kansas City doesn't strike out much as a team, just under 20%. Apparently they do swing and miss at strikes. They're not hitting the ball super hard. Well, I guess it says that they are based on this. When I'm looking at the opponent's hitters and what they're doing to Glasnow, if I come over here to Glasnow, see how he counteracts it. He doesn't give up a lot of hard contact. He doesn't swing and miss a lot of bats or cause a lot of swings and misses. His K percentage is okay. Contact is okay. So it looks like he's pretty good. KC's pretty good at fending off that type of stuff, make a lot of good contact. So by the numbers, it looks like it could go either way. I'm more inclined to believe Vegas with the minus 185 favorite. The way priced up situation that we have here, and a 449 K score, which on the slate is pretty good for upside. I think there's a good chance that they get the win and that they get the quality start. I'm inclined to roll Glasnow out everywhere. And on a 4-game slate like this, if I make 3 or 4 lineups, I'm just going to probably pick a pitcher and roll with him. Maybe not in like some kind of a 3 max entry tournament, but if I was doing, 4, 5, 600 mans, I've done that before, where I've just taken the same pitcher, locked him in, and just made a bunch of lineups around him. But usually when there's a little bit more of an obvious pitcher and he's the only one, will I do something like that, like a Garrett Cole the other night or something like that. Tonight, maybe I will offset a little bit. I don't know who with. That's part of the issue too. I don't really have a secondary choice. I may just close my eyes and roll Glasnow out everywhere. When I do that, I'm going to be looking for offenses, and the way we're going to look for offenses is we're going to first sort by the bad pitching in the DFSA grade and bring the bad ones to the top. There's only about 2 or 3 to pick on today. I'm not probably picking on these guys. So if I look at those top 3, Atlanta, Oakland, and Chicago, and then when I go over to the Vegas odds section and do the opponent's runs, there's only going to be a couple of those too, and I don't even like the 4.5. But, for the sake of including some things, you've got to be relative to the slate. You've got to always be looking at what the slate offers you and be willing to be open-minded within that. You might not be excited about it, but some nights 125 wins a GPP when the slate's just that low scoring and that terrible. So somebody's going to hit it. When I look at those top 2 teams, it's Oakland and Atlanta again. So those are both now 2-star offenses. Come over here to our rating system, our little double red action. And I see a red here, a red here, and a red here. I may come down to lefties only in these bottom lineups. And maybe a righty only out of Danny Duffy. So when I see Minnesota is in a decent spot, Cincinnati and Miami are in pretty good spots. Cincinnati's interesting. Let me double check that. Make sure nothing changed. Where are we here? 332 going against Cole Hamels. That's a righty only scenario. So that would be Cincinnati right-handers. Interesting. I'm going to write that down. I did not previously have that written down, but I don't mind that play. I don't mind that at all. But what I'm looking at more along the line of that double red is Oakland, Minnesota, and Kansas City. Minnesota, Kansas City here. And where'd Oakland go? There they are. And Oakland here. And then when I looked at a little bit of the split stuff, I saw Cincinnati and Tampa Bay on the right side. Just double check the Cincinnati numbers since I had to scroll up. Righties only. Danny Duffy, Glasnow, Cole Hamels, righties only. It's a borderline kind of situation. 327 WOBA isn't something that really gets me fired up. But Cincinnati and Tampa Bay are righties only, and Atlanta and Chicago are lefties only. That doesn't mean that you don't take the other-handedness. It just means you should be focused on the right-handed or the left-handers where you can be. Lefties hit lefties, righties hit righties, and sometimes, they don't have a 0 WOBA, so guys do hit them. When I look at runs scored over the past month, and I go to this graphic here that I found on Fangraphs, for those of you that don't know, Oakland and Atlanta are on this list here, and only Tampa Bay is on this list here as a team that we're going to be watching against. So when I add up those 5 categories, I really only got a 4-star offense in Oakland and a 3.5-star offense out of Atlanta, where the half-star came from left-handers only, lefty bats. And then I've got a bunch of GPP-type offenses that are 1-star offenses. I even add Cincinnati to them because I didn't before, and I'll focus on the righties if I can find it. I'll show you how I do that. But Chicago, Minnesota, Tampa Bay, and Kansas City were the other GPP-type bats. What you might do is mix in small samples of those guys. If you make a bunch of lineups, mostly revolve around Oakland and Atlanta, and then mix in a decent amount of Chicago, but then a little bit of Minnesota, a little bit of Tampa, a little bit of Kansas City, a little bit of Cincinnati. And if you happen to catch the right little 2-stack, mini stack, or something like that, it can make all the difference on a slate like this. And I'd run it anywhere. I'd run it in 3-mans or cash, 50-50s. I'd run it everywhere. Because on a slate like this, if you have that one play, that one little slightly sneaky play that happens to hit on a 4-man slate, if the rest of the chalk kind of hits for you, boom, you cash everywhere. Nobody can catch you. And you got a good shot at winning some GPPs with that method too. So that's how I play these little smaller slates, and I've had a lot of luck with them so far this year. But I largely stay within the chalk. I largely will be on Oakland and Atlanta tonight. And I'll probably run Glasnow out there with them. It's just the way and you can't go wrong attacking Kansas City's offense for the win and for the quality start because that offense isn't all that potent. It does hit for 8 runs on occasion, but it's just not that potent overall. They're not a really intimidating team. When I come to the trends tab and I do the same thing, knock these guys down, sort WOBA by 350. If you want to, you can sort ISO. I did not today, being a smaller slate. I don't want to limit my player pool too much. I want to still be flexible enough to build some lineups and build several of them and see which way I go. And the way I'm going to do that actually, I may actually show you that here. I'm going to get that thing cranking up. When I'm looking at some of these offenses, again, Oakland would be where I would start. Chris Davis, Piscotty, Laureano, watch him. If he gets a start, you might run him out there. 25 at-bat sample size, 419 WOBA. Scroll over just a touch for ISO, and it's there at a 240. It's okay. On smaller sample sizes, we'd like to see above 250, even 300. But we're not afraid of over a 200. I mean, that's what is ideal for a season of 600 at-bats. Jed Lowry's maybe a little off kind of a stack completer, if you will. And of course, there's other guys in that offense too that you might take shots on because again tonight, one of those guys like Akana or somebody hits a home run, and you're sitting pretty everywhere. Especially if he's a little bit lower owned because people are focused on Chris Davis and maybe a Piscotty or a Lowry or a Matt Olson or a Chapman or something like that. And you happen to be on Kana who gets the home run, or Martini or something like that who luck boxes a home run. Boom! Next thing you know, you're running away with the contest and you didn't even really try. It's those little things that win the smaller slates, and that's why you want to make a few lineups, take a few shots at it, and spread yourself out a little bit. Atlanta. We said focus on the lefties, but I didn't see any lefties popping on the radar. That brings into play, though, a Freddie Freeman, brings into play a few of these guys. You definitely are going to be wanting to look at it and include some of them in your lineups. When you look up here at a Kurt Suzuki and Dansby Swanson, 468 WOBA over 7 days. Pretty hot. 364 ISO. Must have hit one out recently. Acuna Jr., is it any shock? Look at how much his ISO's come down, though. Must not be getting much to hit. His WOBA's come down a lot, too. So that's maybe a sign where he's far enough off his 2-week numbers that to create this, has been really cold. And that gap is a little bit, when it's not too significant, 360 to 460 is okay, but a 550 to a 380 is damn near 200 WOBA points. That's starting to get concerning. In order to, it's kind of like when Matt Carpenter was hitting at the end of May, was hitting a $150 or something crazy like that. Now he's all the way up to 287. Okay, so you see the 150 to 287 and you go, not all that impressive. I mean, he was doing about. No, when you look at how many at-bats he had at the 150 and then how many he's had since, he's hitting like 350 since. And that's when you want to be carrying them on your team, is when they're running that hot. And that's what these numbers tell you the difference between 14 days and 7 days. When the gap is large, it can really tell you something. Not so much ISO, it's a power number, but WOBA for sure. OBP would be another one. If a guy has some 450 OBP and it falls down to under 300, then all of a sudden the dude's just not seeing the ball well. But we're not showing that stat on this page because we don't have it. But all right, let's jump over to the other offenses really quick just to take a glance at them. Chicago, anybody there? Rizzo, Schwarber, Almora, maybe Almora. Rizzo and Schwarber for sure. Tampa Bay, Choi, Gomez, Wendell, Cron, Kiermaier, Malik Smith. Maybe not so much these guys down in here. Well, Kiermaier's maybe coming up 265 to 368. We might take a peek at that. Kansas City on the off chance they have a night. Alcides Escobar, cheap, always cheap. Not a bad punt. On a 4-man slate, I wouldn't even mind if you're really, really searching for a punt to run him against Glasnow. If he gets lucky and hits one out, and they only score a run or two, and Glasnow still gets the win, you're going to be very unique in that lineup because everybody's scared to death to run a batter against their pitcher. Is it ideal? No. Are you going to win a 20,000 person GPP with it? Probably not. Can you still win cash with it or a 100-man with it? Sure. And what it's really doing at the 2,000 minimum is taking a hot bat, 467 WOBA, somewhat decent pop lately, and putting him in your lineup for dirt cheap so you can spend up elsewhere. If this was a more, like, you want to run a big 4-man Atlanta stack tonight, you know, I mean, you could get away from it. You could run Miami, you could run Minnesota, you could run some Cincinnati. But if you want to run a 4x4 or a 4-3 or something like that, 4-3 Atlanta Oakland, and you're running the prime bats, the premium bats out of there, you're going to need an Alcides Escobar to make it work, most likely. Now, maybe you can find one on a different team, in which case you can find one running this hot. I would prefer that way. But if you can't, this is a different way to get different. It's a unique way to get unique. So in other words, it's a different way to get unique. Kansas City, Cincinnati's the other one I wanted to check. Just want to see, there we go, big list. Big list. Going up against Hamels, who is not what he used to be. You know, the old gray mare. She ain't what she used to be. Ain't what she used to be. And she might be giving up some hits. I mean, if you look at this, Peraza, Suarez, Jeanette, Casale if he starts, Irvin if he starts. Looks like Williams has been getting some at-bats at a 397 WOBA, but nobody will be on him. I hadn't heard of his name yet. So these are just little ways in there. We'll check the ISO numbers here. See who's really popping it. Top 2 guys. Irvin. So if I ran Peraza, Suarez, Irvin, that's a GPP type of move. It's not a terrible idea, especially when we're in Cincinnati. Well, I don't know if we're in Cincinnati or not. It's not yellow. I didn't look. If we're in Cincinnati or the wind is blowing out at Wrigley, this is a pretty sneaky little one that probably won't be too terribly owned tonight. These are just little ways to do the same things. When I jump over to Domination Station, I'll show you a neat... Oh, looky there. Anybody play Fantasy Draft? That debuted today. Fantasy Draft is now on the Domination Station. I can also tell you that Week 1 NFL is also loaded in the Domination Station. So we can be playing with lineups right now all we want and kind of getting used to the stack tool and stack rules and things like that. You saw it hopefully already. I'm not going to load it up today, but hopefully you already saw it and you saw the tutorial on the website. If not, I may throw that in my comment section too. You need to see how our CEO and founder of Football Geek has done this stacking tool to where you can put all these different rules on your players. You want to run, you know, Tom Brady with a receiver or a tight end, you know, or 2, and then run it back with a wide receiver on the opposite team. You can set up the rules and parameters to do exactly that. You can choose by player, you can choose by the team and let it fill them in for you. There's a whole bunch of options you can do. Again, it's most customizable optimizer out there. I was going to plan on showing you some of the lineups and show you kind of a little bit different way to run it, but I'm going to practice that theory a little bit myself. So you might just consider me your fantasy daily fantasy whore that really wanted to just bring you here to show you that Fantasy Draft debuted today. Because I did. Anyway, I'm going to work on some other Domination Station stuff. Maybe we'll start showing a couple of videos and tutorials, a little bitty things about that, because the main thing is you guys are going to want access to these tools. You guys are going to want to jump in and become VIPs, and you find that in the comment section with the link, and you use coupon code CHOP to knock 10% off. CHOP. Tell them Chopadong sent you. That keeps them telling me, keep doing videos, which helps you get more content, which helps you eventually decide whether or not you want to become a VIP in your army. I've got a lot of people coming in for football season, hitting me up in our Slack channel saying, I saw your videos, they're very helpful, I want more information. Those are the people I love dealing with. You guys are the ones that support the cause and are giving me the proper feedback to help me bring more of what you want to you. If not, suggest stuff in the videos. I'd be happy to cover things that you want covered. I'll show you how our tools can make it work for you. All right. So anyway, follow the link, become a VIP, jump in today. You can still get in before the night slate tonight. It's Buddy Chopadong. This has been Chop Talk. I will see you tomorrow.